Hello everyone, my name is Kit Colbert, and with me is Jared Rosoff. We hope you enjoyed watching the application modernization launch. We covered a lot of really exciting announcements, but only just scratched the surface. So in this session, what we'd like to do is go into more detail around VMware Cloud Foundation. We talked about the launch of VMware Cloud Foundation 4.0 and all the great capabilities there. But at the heart of VMware Cloud Foundation is Vsphere. And what we're doing with Vsphere is fundamentally re-architecting it with Kubernetes. We talked about this at VMworld last year with the Project Pacific announcement, and now it's available with Vsphere 7. So Jared, what are we doing here from a technical standpoint? How are we actually integrating Kubernetes with Vsphere?
So what we did in Vsphere 7 is we actually integrated a Kubernetes control plane into Vsphere itself. And this means that we can leverage Kubernetes and its ecosystem of technologies in order to coordinate virtualized workloads on top of ESX.
Got it. So Kubernetes is now built into Vsphere, top to bottom, integrated at both the ESX level and the vCenter level.
That's right. When you enable a VC cluster, just as you do today, now you've got a Kubernetes control plane right inside that cluster.
Right. So each ESX cluster is now simultaneously a Kubernetes cluster.
Exactly.
And that's what we call the supervisor cluster.
That's right.
Okay, that's pretty powerful. So, but what does that enable, though? What do customers get out of that?
We use that Kubernetes cluster as a vehicle to deliver new IT managed services to developers. So think about how you offer things like a Kubernetes service or storage or networking, and generally how a developer will self-serve infrastructure resources from IT.
So what can our VI admins do with this? How can they take this and leverage it to deliver those capabilities to developers?
Well, in Vsphere 7 with Kubernetes, we've got a bunch of cool new services that we deliver on top of the supervisor cluster. We've got the Tanzu Kubernetes Grid service for Vsphere, and this lets you run upstream conformant Kubernetes clusters as a service right from your vCenter and Vsphere environment. We're also introducing a Vsphere Container service, and this allows developers to run containers directly on the hypervisor with improved security and performance isolation compared with Linux containers. We also have a storage service, network service, and a registry service to sort of flesh out that portfolio of services.
Got it. So a broad set of services that VI admins and IT operations more generally can now offer to developers and application teams.
That's right.
Now, as our customers enable these application teams to start moving very quickly, start building out new applications, start creating a lot of containers and pods, how can IT operations and VI admins manage all the complexity and the scale, just the number of things that are now running inside of their vSphere environments?
Yeah, so historically, every single virtual machine inside of vSphere was a thing you had to manage yourself. But one of the other concepts we've tapped into in the supervisor cluster is this idea of a namespace. And namespaces allow us to manage logical applications instead of the individual VMs that make it up. So if you have a modern app that's 20 virtual machines, say it's a Kubernetes cluster and some other components, you can now actually manage resource allocation, developer access control, storage policies, all at the application layer instead of the individual objects inside the app.
Got it. So what you're essentially saying is that we're up-leveling the abstraction such that we can now manage at a higher level of abstraction. We don't need to deal with all these things coming and going. We can set policies on more long-lived objects.
Exactly. You think about your vCenter today, you probably log in, you see thousands of objects in your inventory tree. Mm-hmm. When we have vSphere with Kubernetes, you're going to go from thousands of objects in that inventory tree to just a few dozen because they're logically grouped by the application they're part of. And
the key point here, though, is that it's still vSphere. It's still the vCenter client. This is an interface, and these are a set of tools that our VI admins and IT operations know how to use.
That's right. You probably already understand things like resource pools and storage policies, and these are still the way we manage our infrastructure. But with vSphere with Kubernetes, we really automate those kinds of features inside of vSphere and make them really easy to use, really easy to manage an entire application all at once.
Well, that's really exciting. So we talked about how we're re-architecting vSphere with Kubernetes, creating the supervisor cluster. We talked about how that supervisor cluster then enables this ability to deliver all these great services to your developers. We also talked about app-centric management, the ability to then manage at scale as all those applications are being provisioned. And finally, all of these great capabilities are available in the familiar vSphere environment that our VI admins and IT operations teams have already been using to run their existing applications, but now they can do it for modern applications as well. So some really, really exciting stuff coming with Vsphere 7 and VMware Cloud Foundation 4. To learn more, please check out VMware.com. Thank you.